lots of money appear in their accounts.
Yes, she's continuing exactly like the parents. I think they're certainly, again, material witnesses. They were taken by the parents to Epstein's homes. They were probably the first people to see Epstein when he came out of prison. So they should certainly, I think, be testifying to the Senate. And if there's a parliamentary investigation into Andrew's time as a trade envoy, they should be testifying there because they were on many of those trips.
And also, we've seen lots of money appear in their accounts. We have seen this happen with Andrew and Sarah. Like you say, the fact HMRC have not investigated them, this is wild.
Wow.
Yes, I mean, I think the famous episode is the Salman Turk case in 2022 when large sums of money were found in Sarah, Andrew and Eugenie's accounts that they couldn't explain from this man, Salman Turk, who was being sued by this Turkish millionairess. Turk had just won Pitch at the Palace. He clearly is an important sort of intermediary in their business affairs, connected with something called Alphabet Capital and Pegasus, another firm called Pegasus. And the press didn't really pursue this story. This was 4 years ago. So yes, I mean they are there. They're often receiving gifts. Beatrice got an £18,000 necklace on her 18th birthday from Terence Coutinho, who's another of the middlemen they use. So I think there are good questions that they need to answer, and I think there is scope if this
over and over again. So look, it doesn't make us weird to notice. It doesn't make us wrong to see what they're doing. Obviously, they're con artists. They're gonna say,
"You're lying. You're not telling the truth."
"Oh, that's crazy. We would never." Of course, they're gonna say that. What else can they say? Can they admit that they had literally everything anyone could ask for, and they still wanted more? Not a little bit more, a lot more. And they wanted to get away with it without accountability, with impunity. That's what they asked. And so I think here's our answer. Instead of 10 of them to one person, it's now 1,000 people to the 10 of them. And then more and more and more. And their network's huge, but the people are bigger. We better act soon on all of this. It's global.
Because it is about financial corruption, the royal family, then they need to be drawn in.
Yeah, we are looking ultimately, Andrew, at organised crime. We were never meant to get these documents, and the way that the story is now being pieced together, if anyone else had committed things like we are seeing, the law book would absolutely be thrown at everyone.
Yes, I mean, I think the police definitely have not wanted to go there. I've just done a piece for the Mail, which I think is appearing tomorrow, looking at all the times in the last 15 years when red alerts went up, police and others should have been investigating. The palace should have done their own due diligence, and indeed, I think the government should have done things. So, this is a huge cover-up. They're all scrabbling back to cover their tracks. When there were plenty of opportunities for them to deal with this problem. So it's a problem of their own making.
Oh, absolutely.
This is a deep institutional problem as well, because we've seen Amanda Thirsk, who was aware and was Prince Andrew's private secretary. We've seen the head of policing. They were aware that Andrew was going to a convicted sex offender's house and staying there. Do you think this is normalised? Do you think there is sadly a toxic normalization of predators behind palace walls? And I say that in the context of King Charles's history with very questionable people.
Well, I mean, I think certainly the business associates of Andrew, I'm sure, will be questioned. So Amanda Thirsk clearly is his private secretary, David Stern, who was one of his point men, David Rowlands, business associate, Johan Eliash. All these people clearly know things and will be able to help with the investigation. You make the point about the former head of Royal Security, Peter Loughborough, the Earl of Roslin, now the private secretary to the King and the Queen. And so it's impossible to think.
How?
Elon Musk and Catherine and one Kate Middleton, the Windsors, William,
Princess and Prince William. What about their involvement with Elon Musk and XAI? Are they invested there? Because that'd be $1 billion. And then through X, do they traffic through X, through the online platform? They never have to show receipts for anything. They don't have to answer for anything ever. No wonder we scare them. I'd love to see if there's a relationship there on paper. I keep thinking I can press this to turn the TV on.
That King Charles wasn't aware of what was going on because his right-hand man was one of the people who was involved in the arrangements, for example, for Andrew to go and stay with Epstein. So, and must have done some due diligence to work out what Epstein was like. And this was after Epstein had come out of prison for soliciting for a minor. So I think, they've tried to sort of limit the damage to Andrew and cauterize the wound that way. But I think we're finding that, it's seeping now into the king, and the king has some questions to answer.
Do you think the king is nervous because Andrew could potentially sing like a canary, throw people under the bus and try and shift the blame? I guess we all want to know, how much did and does King Charles know?
Well, absolutely. And I think if Sarah Ferguson, too, is helping the police with their inquiries, she may want to throw a few people under the bus as well. So, the last thing I think the royal family wants is a trial. I mean, it's back to the shades of the Burrell case a few years ago, where the Queen suddenly remembered that she'd allowed Burrell to take all these belongings that he was being prosecuted for. I still think that Andrew will not face trial. He will do what King Juan Carlos of Spain did, which is to disappear to the Middle East. He is a flight risk, and I'm surprised that they haven't taken his passport. But I think, he could easily be bundled onto a private jet in a private airport and disappear. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen.
I want to just touch on that there was a girl found on royal grounds in 2012 on the 1st of January. Her name was Elisa Dimitrieva, and she was a Latvian girl who was found by a dog walker. Now, the official story goes that she went missing and her body was so decomposed that the police struggled to identify her. We know that Epstein was trafficking from Latvia, and whilst these are unproven allegations relating to anyone within the royal circle, we do also know that girls were being trafficked to royal grounds and that Epstein had landed his plane at the Marham RAF base in Sandringham. This case raises questions, Andrew, because it is blocked left, right and centre from anyone getting any more information. Do you think we are yet to see more sinister revelations come to light that previously those in power might have hoped had disappeared?
Well, I've not really looked at the Sandringham case. I know you have. I mean, I suppose if one was going to get rid of a body, it's much easier to stick her on a plane and drop her into the sea. Or even just, the sea is quite close to Sandringham. Literally just bundle her out and stick her out with the outgoing tide. But, we are getting stories clearly from the files which do raise disturbing questions about the darkness of what was going on. No one, I think, has linked it yet to Prince Andrew, though I think there is a story that, police are investigating, which I think is connected with him. But I think, again, more detective work needs to be done. I know that you've done a lot of great work in this area, but it's not an area I've really looked at. And certainly I'm very happy to share with you the stuff that I was passed and which I ignored from people making various claims. I think there was one in Switzerland, for example, who had stories.
There have been reports as well that there were sex parties on royal grounds and that Ghislaine and Epstein almost had free reign of the palace. We really need people to come forwards and start speaking, don't we, Andrew? Because still you have faced people blocking you moving forwards. So you haven't been able to get all of the documents, have you? And the authorities have made it incredibly hard for you to advance with your research.
Well, I mean, I think it would be good if the government released the Foreign Office and Department of Trade papers, which relate to his time as a trade envoy. I mean, I have actually, through sources, got some interesting information. One of them told me that Ghislaine had an all areas pass, which allowed her to move without any sort of challenge.
Sorry, I need a translation there. I'm going to have to hear that again. Ghislaine had a what? I mean, I feel like my ear has tuned pretty well to understand all of the English words, but I did not get that one. He had an old wee boss. Ghislaine had a, let's hear it.
There have been reports as well that there were sex parties on royal grounds, and that Ghislaine and Epstein almost had free reign of the palace.
I really want to know about these parties. Wow. I want to know more. I want to know everything about the parties.
We really need people to come forwards and start speaking, don't we, Andrew?
Times,
Because
dates,
still,
who's there?
You have faced people blocking you moving forwards. So you haven't been able to get all of the documents, have you? And the authorities have made it incredibly hard for you to advance with your research.
Well, I mean, I think it would be good if the government released the Foreign Office and Department of Trade papers, which relate to his time as a trade envoy. I mean, I have actually, through sources, got some interesting information.
I didn't get it.
One of them told me that
Something about a
Ghislaine
trade
had an
envoy.
all areas pass, which
all
allowed her to move
areas
without
pass.
any sort of
All
challenge
areas
throughout
pass.
the palace. Now, that was eventually revoked when I think at that time the head of security heard about it. But,
How the hell did that happen?
Certainly, if Ghislaine and possibly Epstein had this ability to go anywhere they wanted, you know, they're very sort of tough on anyone trying to research these, people researching books like us, saying that it's national security and we've got to protect the safety of the royal family. And yet, if people like that have got the ability to run around royal palaces where the royal family are living, it doesn't give one a great deal of faith in how far they're protected.
They couldn't have been
And
in more
what's been the
danger.
personal cost to you, because you've done incredible work, Andrew. Honestly, you will go down in history as such a brave author. You've been fearless in this, and there are so many victims and survivors that you have impacted in a positive way because you've stood by your research, you've been diligent. But what's been the personal cost to you? Because it hasn't been an easy road doing this book, has it?
No, it's been frustrating. I mean, there's clearly a lot of flack is thrown at one. I mean, how far that's coordinated and how far it's just people on social media. But clearly a lot of false allegations have been made about me, ranging from using prostitutes to not being a serious person and a Republican, etc. But, you know, I think the thing that gives me
All the typicals.
succor is that there are lots of people like you who are supportive, who feel that this is important, that have been encouraged to perhaps speak out. And as you say, you know, it's very important that victims get justice, and the people are held to account who did these terrible things. And, you know, we do need to clean out the sort of corruption that's going on. And, you know, I think there's a lot of popular support for it. I think, you know, we see figures for the popularity of the royal family dropping. We see a lot of really good citizen journalism on social media, podcasts, Substack, etc. So, you know, I think we are shifting the dial, and there is a new era, I hope, of transparency and accountability for public bodies and institutions that, you know, should be commanding our respect and trust and have lost it.
Absolutely. Do you see King Charles continuing in his role, or do you think we will see some changes in the coming 12 months?
Well, you know, I haven't got a crystal ball, and clearly his health isn't good, so that may be a factor in what happens in the next 12 months. But clearly, if Charles is shown to have colluded in protecting Andrew and enabling him, and is part of any cover-up.
So we now know, according to The Sun, who believe they have it on very good authority, that King Charles had overseen the payment to Virginia Giuffre and also contributed to the finances of this. You don't pay £12 million to someone in a settlement when you are totally innocent, I would argue. What do you make of that?
I certainly think the king is much more involved in this than he's letting on. I mean, wants to let on, because clearly it's very damaging. The Sun story, I believe, is true. It supports what my sources have been saying. I know people feel the palace has been lying to journalists about some of these issues. So I think we just have to see how it pans out over the next few days. But certainly my source is very credible on this issue. I think we probably do need some sort of statement of explanation about what was known at the palace, when they knew it, and what they did about it.
Do you think the king has gone far enough releasing a statement, or do you think we should hear him in person address what is going on? Because we have been taken for fools as well, haven't we?
Well, I think, their style isn't to with rare exceptions, to broadcast to the nation, though we did have it during COVID. We had it clearly after Diana's death. I think there have been several other occasions. They're using more of that. I think we might perhaps get a statement through social media. We might get a story leaked to the press, that they can't control that so well. But I think, yes, people are expecting some sort of explanation of exactly what was known. But the problem is, if you say nothing, then you can't be held up. If you say something is found not to be true, like Andrew did in the Newsnight to you, then you're in big trouble. So again, the old policy of never talking might be their safest one.
Andrew, your Substack's absolutely amazing. I would encourage anyone to sign up to it. And just a huge thank you to you, because you are fearless. You are absolutely meticulous in your research. And I feel that we have made more progress for the everyday person with Andrew's arrest than we have in a long time. And you are a huge part of this.
Well, thank you. I think anyway, the dial has shifted. So let's hope that change comes.
Thank you so much for watching. Please hit that subscribe button so I can continue my independent, fearless journalism, because you deserve the truth. The truth does not come packaged up as propaganda. It comes unfiltered, direct to your inbox.
That is so true. Okay. Let's do one more. Okay, this is Luke. Yeah, I mean, I just want to say, I don't know about anyone else in America, really. But I would argue that the royals are not a big deal over here, really, at all. But if you tune into like Sky News or anything over in Great Britain, you'll see they talk about Meghan Markle. Do you remember her? And they talk about Harry, like they talk about, I guess they have like a food product or whatever, but they buy the press. People magazine, that I think is owned by like Kate Middleton, but they're big over there. And they think, because they've given so much propaganda to their own brands, that they're big over here. But really, like, we're not feeling a thing. What we are feeling is the accountability aspect. And I think Charles did an amazing thing by pushing for this inquiry and for getting Andrew arrested. Not arrested. What was he? He was taken into custody, but he wasn't arrested. He was arrested, but then not charged. He needs to be charged. Charged next. If people who come forward can be charged with can be charged with slander, can be charged with defamation, can be charged with being lunatics and, fantasy makers and Imagineers, then when there's physical proof of a person, a grown man, over a little girl's body, I mean, how much proof did Giuffre need to bring? It's unbelievable. If anyone's in a position of power and you see this happening under your nose, which my nose just keeps getting smaller and smaller, I want to say also, then you need to fire that person. You have no idea what these people are capable of. This network, this Epstein class, is growing faster and faster. They party. They seem so fun. I've never been to one of their parties. I mean, consciously, of course.
Well, I'm on the way this time. Cold, I wanna be people.